All right, counterfeit software. I know this has changed. There's been a lot. I'm sure there's more software that's been introduced. There's still older copies of software out there. They might call it Vector 2023, Bioplasm 2023. These companies that come out of China and other places, they'll put the latest year on the software. They'll tell you that it's brand new. But unfortunately, it's not. They're lying to you. So again, you have to do your research. Usually, you get what you pay for. If it's too good, if the deal is too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. You can get real OEM software and real OEM hardware out there. It is a little more expensive, but in the long run, if you're talking about your health, wouldn't you rather be using something that works? Scanning methods. So with NLS technologies, there's two ways to scan. One is the preferred. It's using the headphones, and again, there's little infrared diodes inside the cups that you use to scan. And then there's also a remote scan. And let's talk a little bit about the remote scan. The reason that it works is because that when you take a piece of the body away from the body, say a fingernail is an example, a piece of hair, that is living tissue. There's living cells in the keratin, there's living cells in the hair. And if it's alive, it has an energy field. And the energy field in a fingernail is connected to the energy field of the body. It's something called the spooky theory. And it basically means that you can take a fingernail away from the body, but it's still energetically connected to the body. And for those of you that have researched quantum entanglement, it's real. Scientists are doing research on it today, so it actually does work. You can scan somebody using their fingernails. It works just as well as having the headphones on. And this is one of the great things about this technology is that you don't need to physically be present. So if you have a setup at home, you could be traveling, you could have your fingernail in the scanning device. You could be on a plane at 20,000 feet, 30,000 feet with Wi-Fi. You could be scanning yourself you can be scanning yourself as well as doing therapy. BioStar sells two different types of hardware. We're working on a lower level device for NLS scanning. That's specifically because we found out that China hardware over time has lost some of the reliability that it's had in the past. They generally will make copies of copies of copies, and we all know how that goes. Especially if you've seen multiplicity, but basically over time that means that we're seeing more and more faulty devices. And in fact, what we've seen happen is because there's more faulty devices, the software manufacturers out there, the pirate software manufacturers, remove the error checking out of the device, and so it doesn't check to see if the hardware is working, and it just basically makes up the data. So buyer beware, be very careful here, because we're seeing more and more of the China hardware out there today as not working. Even the more expensive China hardware out there, we've tested on our software that does the error checking. Our software from BioStar actually checks to see the type of hardware that's being used. It does some tests and error checks, and if it doesn't receive back information to know the device is working, it's not going to work. So you're not going to be able to use our software on a broken device. Now, the exciting thing is that BioStar came out with their second. They had a BioStar Pro, but they came out with another device that was built for quantum, and it's also called the BioStar Pro. There's usually a couple different names for things that are out there, but this is a picture of it here on the bottom. And you can see it has a bifiller scalar antenna here on the top, and this is currently used to place the biomatter. You can also do broadcast biomatter that's in the cup, but very soon you'll be able to use that cup to scan in DNA. And the reason that the Vector software today doesn't do that is very simply because the software that we're using was based on a very old database format that couldn't handle the larger amount of data that's required to store somebody's DNA.